Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. My co-anchor Kristen Oaks-White will be back next week. We begin with the big story of the week, the federal elections. Republican Donald Trump is headed back to Washington, D.C., and so is the majority of Louisiana's congressional delegation. Speaker Mike Johnson easily won re-election in the 4th Congressional District. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is headed back for a 9th term representing the 1st Congressional District. Democrat Troy Carter won a 2nd term to represent Louisiana's 2nd District. Republican Clay Higgins will continue to represent Acadiana and the 3rd Congressional District. Congresswoman Julia Letlow will serve a 3rd term to represent the largest row crop district in the country, Louisiana's 5th District. And Democrat Cleo Fields will return to Congress 28 years after he was last there to represent the newly redrawn 6th Congressional District. With the general elections now behind us, Louisiana Farm Bureau is doubling down on its push for a new farm bill and immediate supplemental assistance to farmers. Many Louisiana farmers are facing their 3rd year in a row of major losses. For farmers growing rice, cotton, corn, and soybeans, Congress must act now so the men and women who feed and clothe us can return to the fields next year.
One of the guys I was talking to the other day used the word purge. He said, this is going to be a purge. I can see it coming. It's not going to be pleasant. And what really worries me is when you go to a bank in the spring and you sit down with your banker and you're looking at your farm plan or your cropping plans or whatnot, and you can't show cash flow, what bank is going to loan money to someone who can't show cash flow in the next crop? You know, I mean, it's crazy.
There's concern, legitimate concern as well. You know, we've had a couple bad years in a row where farmers are carrying debt from the previous year into a new year and trying to figure out where to put that, you know, that debt and how to service that debt after the fact. And it's snowballing.
One thing about it that does not change, I mean, if we don't get this ag policy set up with this farm bill and quit kicking this can down the road, it's going to be detrimental. There are a lot of people hanging on by a thread, and if we can't, you know, get the reference prices up where they need to be to catch up with 2024, 2025 prices of inputs and whatnot, and then with this election year going on, and with the, you know, with the promise of tariffs coming, it's going to be bad.
The current farm bill is 6 years old now. It was passed in 2018, and farming has changed a lot, you know, since that time. And those safety nets and those reference prices, you know, have become stale. And it's time to update those to make sure that we do have a safety net for times just like this.
When you ride down the interstate or you ride down the highway or you cross a river bridge and you see these barges running up and down the river with all this grain in it, and you see all these trucks on the road hauling all this grain, and these elevators and infrastructure and mills that process all this stuff, the equipment companies, the dealerships that you see, the jobs that all these people have that have a finger or touch any of this, you know, if you take this away, then all that's going to go. I mean, all that depends on what we do here. You know, we depend on them. It's a two-way street, and this is where it kind of starts in my book. It's a small fire right now, and it's only going to get bigger. You know, people are going to play the market, and I think they're going to hold out long as possible because very little, if anything, cash flows right now. I mean, if I had to go to the field right now for 2025, I mean, I guess right now I would probably lean heavily on rice and a few soybeans. To me, corn doesn't cash flow, and cotton is not where it needs to be either. Typically, like I said, 1 out of the 4 you can lean on and it'll help get you through or whatever, but it's not looking that rosy. Not for 25.
The clock is ticking on getting aid not only to farmers, but for food security as well. We're asking for your help. Scan the QR code below and send a letter to your representatives in Washington, D.C., letting them know we need a farm bill now.